I don't know how well you can see the background. I'm kind of hoping it's just a blur. Let me... okay, bear with. We're gonna reset this up because it's stressing me out. This is as good as it's gonna get, okay? This video is gonna be about the application process for Camp America, because I know I watched like 600 of these. There aren't actually that many of these videos. I've realized, like, I thought Camp America would be something that would have like a plethora of videos on the internet for you to watch. There are very few that like I saw that were really helpful, and I was like, oh. And I'm one of those people who, I use YouTube for literally everything. So yeah, I thought I may as well make a video explaining the application process. Obviously I can only really talk from my experience, and I've just done the application process and I am leaving in 3 weeks-ish, which is terrifying but also ridiculously exciting. There's quite a few sections to this, so I will put timestamps and like the thing at the bottom of the video, which YouTube now does, so you can just go to the bit that you want. But I'm going to split it into the online application, all the stuff that you can do online really easily. This is one thing I do want to say before I start, is it is a ridiculously easy process. Like, it's just so straightforward. Camp America makes everything really easy. It gets more complicated when you've been placed at a camp and you have to do your visa and everything, but that's for another discussion. Okay, I'm gonna split it into the online application, and then there's like an option to enhance your application with photos and videos, and then it's the interview, in-person interview that you have one-on-one with someone, and then there's the option of recruitment fairs, which is what I did, and ultimately that was how I got placed. But it's not the only way to do it, and I did get emails from other camps in the meantime before I got to the fair, which unfortunately they just didn't work out for me. I'm gonna start now. First of all, I want to say, in terms of timing, I started the application process, oh dear, when was it? I think it was late November, I want to say, last year, November 2021. Around then, I ended up getting placed in January, but you don't have to do it that early at all. You can do it earlier, or you can do it much later. I know that about a month ago I was on the Facebook group chat for Camp America, and there were still camps looking for people to fill different roles. It just depends how many places they need and how many international staff they're looking for that year. And because of COVID, the last couple of years, they're like doing a whole new influx of international staff because they couldn't do it for a couple of years. So this year, next year will probably be easier, I want to say. I don't know that for sure, but it felt like that was the case this year. For the online application, it is so straightforward. They literally have you make an account and you have a little home screen essentially, and it splits up. You have little icons for every different section of the application that you need to fill out. It is so straightforward. All you need to know is yourself very well, obviously, and what you can offer, where you would like to go, and when you would like to go. Essentially, that's pretty much it. It's not complicated. So first you talk about yourself, you put in your skills. They have like a list of different things that different camps are probably looking for, so you don't just like type in anything, you pick one from the list. Well, not one, as many as you like essentially. But say you did tennis, you play tennis, you just click on tennis, write in a box about how good you are at tennis, whether you've had any experience with teaching it, and what level you would consider yourself at tennis. And then that's done. You have like, I don't know how many words it is, but like a set amount of words, not many, to explain your love for the sport or the activity or whatever skill it is, and why you think you'd be good at teaching it. But I do want to say, with skills, I put in different skills, but I ended up getting a job as a general counsellor, which means I don't actually have to teach anything. I'm just minding the children. Like, I'm taking them to different activities and making sure they have everything they need and basically looking after them every day. I don't coach them in anything. Some people will go wanting a specific job, like I want to play tennis for my whole summer, or I want to be a lifeguard. People like lifeguards. If you have that, run with it, because it's one of those things that you actually need proper qualifications for, and not many people have that over a few years of experience in a different sport, you know. But yeah, for these skills, just put what you're good at. Even if you want to be a general counsellor, it doesn't really matter that much unless you're really looking for a certain sport. Then you go on to availability, straightforward, just the dates you're available. About me, that's where you can kind of like expand on a lot of stuff and sell yourself, really. They go through your experience with childcare. I didn't have any professional experience with childcare, but I have babysat for my sister. But yeah, they just ask a load of questions, straightforward, like, do you have a driving license? Which I don't. A lot of the things I just wasn't like I'm not qualified to teach anything, nor have I ever had any professional experience with children, nor can I drive, but I know I'm good with kids and I work well in that environment. And to be quite honest, with a lot of camps, or at least for my camp, for general counsellors, they're looking for someone who really wants to do it and is ready for it and is enthusiastic and just a personable person. So I wouldn't worry if you're just like, I am not qualified for anything. I'm not either, but here we are. And then camp options. Camp options is just deciding whether you want to work at. They have different types of camps. So you have like private camps, which is quite a lot of them are just private camps. Kind of scout camps, so like a Girl Scout camp, which is more, I mean, if you've done scouts, it's kind of like that. It's like literally camping. There's a lot more like tents instead of cabins sort of situation. Camps for people with disabilities in different areas, they have different types for that. There are religious camps. There's quite a few. There's a lot of genres of camps, and you just have to like check which ones that you're like, I'm comfortable working here, I would like to work here, blah blah blah. Education, straightforward. This is kind of like CV sort of stuff. Just put where you did stuff and what you got. Work history, same sort of thing as education. Contact details, medical questions. These are all just really easy questions to answer. Literally, this will take you so little time. The one things that will take you time is like the skills and about me sections, and even that, when I say time, I mean like, I think you could genuinely do skills in like an hour, depending on how many. About me, probably about the same, as long as you just like make it sound good. Then you have flight choices, which is essentially just where do you need to fly from. Once again, ridiculously straightforward. You have a tell us more section, which is just telling you more. And it's another about me section. More chance to sell yourself as a lovable, great, personable person. Passport details, once again, straightforward. And then references. References I would recommend doing sooner rather than later. A lot of this you kind of do in your own time. It's not like there's deadlines. References, because you obviously have to ask the person who you want a reference from, and then you have to put them down, and then Camp America will ask them for the reference, and then they will send the reference. It takes time because obviously you can't expect the person that you're asking the reference from to do it immediately. Like, it's something that you want to get out of the way. I would put down as many as possible and as early as possible just to get it out of the way. Don't stress about it, but it's easier that way. So that's the basics of the application. That's just the online stuff, really easy, and genuinely from just that alone, it's not impossible that you're gonna get offers. In fact, that's a lot of the way a lot of people get a job. But there is the option to enhance your application with a video and photos, and it's just to make you seem more human, I think, so they can like actually see who they want to employ, who they're employing. I'm not going to put my video on here because, first of all, because I know that my video isn't what got me the job, because I went for an in-person interview, but also it's an embarrassing video. You have to be really cheesy and you have to sell yourself. I'm gonna stop saying that, I swear. But the way I did mine is I went to different locations for the different skills that I put down. Just be really animated. Be like you would when you're talking to like 9-year-olds. Engage with them. And then with photos, I just put photos of me and my family, me playing like sports with my nephew, because he's about 9, he's about the age of the kids that I would be working with. Once you have done this, you'll be asked to book an in-person interview. This isn't as daunting as it sounds. It sounded terrifying to me, but it's really not. Basically, go on your account on Camp America, and under application is interview, and you select an interviewer that is near you. It is just like a job interview, but it's much more. You have to take it seriously, but you have to also bear in mind that like you're not going for some serious business. Like, you don't have to wear a suit and tie. Like, just be yourself and be comfortable. I know they can be daunting, but just like take a deep breath and roll with the punches. They'll ask questions like asking about your experience working with children. They'll reference your application, like all the things you put on there. So they'll talk about which, like, your different skills. They run through that, and they'll also run through hypotheticals, like what would you do if you saw one of the children you were looking after being nasty to another child, like if there was a conflict. It's nothing like impossible to answer, and they're not going to ask you like some maths questions or something ridiculous like that. It's just, what would you do in this situation, you know? Like, just be yourself, deal with it how you would deal with it, and they'll choose whether you're right or not. It's not anything you can practice for, and it's not that intense. It's just to see whether you're right for it. Now I'm going to talk about the recruitment fair, because this is the way that I want to say the majority of like jobs are given out. They have, I think, I might be wrong, but I think they have like 3. I could be very wrong, but it looked like there are about 3 options to go. I went to one in London because I live closest to London. Get there very early compared to what they say. Well, when I say very early, no, yeah, the queue is huge, massive, and in the queue they'll get you to sing like camp chants with all complete strangers that you've never met before. You've literally just got in the queue behind them, you're holding your form, you're literally standing there like, oh, this is a cult, this is scary. Roll with it. My biggest piece of advice, roll with whatever's happening. Just act like it's completely normal. This is completely normal to me. I always chant whenever I'm in a queue. Of course. Once you've booked which recruitment fair you're going to, I printed out my application. There's like an option on the website for you to print your application. I just printed them out. I didn't end up using them, but I wanted them just in case I needed them so that I could give them to people. It's intense. It's a very intense situation. And also you have to go in alone. Like you can't bring a friend or a mum. You just walk into this massive building alone. Well, with a load of other people doing the exact same thing as you, so it's not that terrifying. It depends who you are. I'm quite a confident person. I was still quite taken aback by everything. I was like, oh, okay. So they'll give you like a booklet essentially with the map of the big room and where all the different camps are. Before you go, do your research as to which camps you want to beeline for when you get in the room, because there will be certain camps that have the perfect dates for you, have the perfect like time off that you would like. They're asking for the right skills that you can give. So when you look on the Camp America website and look at the different camps that are hiring, it will show you a list of counsellors that they're looking for. Some places, for instance, won't be looking for general counsellors, some places will. If you want to be a general counsellor, you know where to go. And also location. Some camps are West Coast, some coast, most to be fair are East Coast. It depends where you want to go. But keep in mind that most likely you won't get the first one that you go to, because there are so many people there and you're not that lucky. So I went to be fair, the first camp I went to at the fair wasn't the first camp on my list. It was just the first camp that ended up being on my way round the room. They told me to come back later, which I didn't do. I didn't go back later because I knew that in taking my time and then going back later, I was missing opportunities elsewhere. That's one piece of advice is that if they ask you to come back later, go interview somewhere else. Like, just keep going, just roll with the punches. Now, when you get to a stall of a camp that you like, you will you'll probably have to queue because there's just so many people there. For the camp that I've ended up being placed at, there was a long queue. Good sign usually. Oh, bring a pen. Bring a pen and application, but there will be, like, in the email after you've booked your place at the fair, they will send you an email if you need anything. They're very good. Camp America are very good with telling you what you need. Once you get to that camp and you get to the front of the queue, you're going to be interviewed, and it is obviously varying depending on which camp it is. The first camp I went to, that interview was still personable, but it felt more professional than personable. So it was a lot of like, tell me a time that you've done this, or tell me something that you've done that you're proud of, or how would you deal with this situation. And then there were general questions like, have you ever been to the US before? Do you like to travel? Why do you want to do this? You'll probably get the why do you want to do this every time without fail. But with the second camp that I went to, which was ultimately the camp I'm going to, that was much more personable. Our camp director is he's just a lovely guy. So he just wants to get to know you, and a lot of camps I'm sure will be the same. He just wanted to know who I was, basically. And there was obviously the questions of like, have you worked with kids before, and like that sort of thing, but it was much more, tell me about yourself, I want to get to know you. And then it was more of a conversation than an interview. It's really not as intimidating once you sit down with these people, because these people work with kids. You have to understand that they're very personable people too. They're like, they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. That's probably the last thing on their agenda. They want to hire people and they want you to want to go. So don't stress and just be yourself and be lovely. Be a lovely person, and they'll think that's a lovely person. I want them. If you don't get placed, don't panic, because you will still get offers 100%. Before I went to camp, I'd already done my application and it'd been up for a while, and I had got emails, and unfortunately, like I've said, it wasn't working for me, but there are a lot of camps that do it like that. It's much easier for them. They'll probably set up a online interview, so like a Zoom interview. If you do get placed, they will fill out a form with you. So I sat at the stall and filled out a form with the other camp director that was there, and they took a picture of me which I wasn't ready for. In fact, you get taken, well, for my camp, we got taken a picture of when we got the job, and then Camp America as an organisation have like a photo booth thing downstairs that you go and you take a picture, like I got placed sort of thing. So be ready for that, because obviously you want to look presentable because you're going for interviews, but at the same time you will have your photo taken. But yeah, then you fill out a form, then you have to go downstairs, more forms. There are so many forms throughout this whole process, and keep hold of literally everything you touch pen to paper on, like everything you have, because you never know when you're going to need what. Even if you will never use it, at least you have it for peace of mind. Keep every form that you fill out. In terms of payments, because I know that's probably like a lot of people's thought when they're like, wow, you're moving to America for 2 months to work, how does that fare for money? For me, now that I've been placed, I spent, here's the thing, there are a couple of variables in this. I spent under £800 just, but that's not included like the train to get to the embassy or the train to get to the interviews or whatever. That's on applications and forms and all that stuff. In terms of money paid to Camp America, I paid £750. That is more than usual because I chose for my return flight to be a flexible one so that I can travel. If you don't choose that, it's at least £100 less than what I'm paying. But if you just want a set flight that they will offer, then you don't have to pay that much. You don't have to pay anything. In fact, your flight home is included in the package. It's only if you want to make it a flexible flight and depending on where you want to fly from. So if you want to fly from East Coast, the whole of East Coast, or just New York, it's going to vary in price. You also will have to pay for your DBS check. I can't remember how much it was. It wasn't that much. And some places will charge you for your medical forms. I got charged £75, but I know that people have actually done it for free, and then some places do it at different prices. But in terms of your application, if you haven't been placed yet, you don't have to pay for your medical form yet, and you don't have to pay for flights yet. You just pay for your DBS check. That's one thing that you just need to have. That is pretty much everything that you would need to like know. That is all you will need to know for like the application process before you get placed. When you get placed, there's a lot more stuff, much more than before you get placed. But yeah, that's it for now. I just want to clarify. I want to finish this by clarifying. It seemed at first too good to be true, but it is too good, but it is also true. Also, to clarify, with payments, like I said, it varies. You can obviously make it cheaper or more expensive depending on what you want to do, but also you get paid by your camp, so you get the money back. You make money, so it's not like you're gonna be at a loss of like £700. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I hope I covered everything. That is it in a nutshell, really. Quite a large nutshell. Thank you for watching. Bye.